Guys, so here we are at week 12, and for my two games to compare, I decided to do Another World and Real Mist. So I'm going to start out with Real Mist, and to start out with this, the point of view that you're playing from is first person, first player, so you are playing through the character's point of view. As for the space in this game, I felt like it was very interactive. You could kind of roam around freely. You saw definitely like the three dimensionals in the game. I felt like there wasn't really like a specific place you had to go. You could kind of just look around. For that, I felt like that you had a lot more time to just kind of see what was going on in the game versus concentrating exactly on what you were supposed to do for the game. I feel like once you got on the right path though, it was very easy to tell because of the way the sounds changed. So when you were just walking around, you could hear the wind, you stepping on the grass, the water from the ocean. There was very distinct sounds that went along with how the game was not where you're supposed to be. So when you got to a place that you're supposed to be, like in a room or down in like a cave or something, the music changed drastically. It would be louder, it was more themed, so if it was like a screen, it might do like a quieter, or not a quieter, but more like happy themed sort of. And then I guess when you were like going down the dungeon or the cave or whatever, it was definitely like kind of scary themed. So that was Real Mist. And as for Another World, this is a second player point of view game, so you're watching your character move, like you can see your full character. In this game, I felt like it was a pretty fast-paced game. I felt like it got to the point, it would lead you in the right direction, which leads to kind of the space. I felt like the space was very sort of layering. It felt like that the character was moving in the background stayed until it kind of got to the next screen, and then it was the screen or the background moving, and the person was just kind of standing there. So I definitely think the layers were independently, and it kind of switched between the background and the foreground moving. So with that, also for the time, I felt like the time went a little bit faster than real time, sort of, because it was so direct at what you were doing. You were following the way. It was basically just telling you where to go when you followed it, and you were just shooting. So I think it went by a little bit faster because you knew exactly what you were doing. And as for the sounds were kind of a lot like Real Mist in a way, but it just had sort of almost kind of like natural sounds. So at the beginning there was like leeches. Okay, so there were like sounds of like leeches, and so you could hear them kind of like moving and stuff, and then when the character squished them, you could hear the squishing noises. So in Real Mist, it kind of had like the realistic kind of natural sounds that you hear when you are in real life. So like the wind and the water. It was also kind of in Another World also. Every time you stepped, you could kind of hear like the rocks. You could hear the background rumbling from the kind of shaking rocks that were happening around him. Also, just like when he fell, you could hear him like thump on the ground, basically. So for the sounds for that, they were very much kind of like the Real Mist, besides the sounds would change. They were pretty natural throughout the whole thing. Like at one point, he is rolling in the dirt, or rolling underground sort of, and there's like steam coming out, and it like does the sound of steam. So I thought that was really cool. It was really realistic in that way. So kind of redirecting back to the winning and losing thing for my game, I've decided to kind of redirect my game in a way. So for playing tasks, you're not necessarily playing mini games, you're just doing the tasks in this game. And to know if you're winning or losing, depending on what task you're doing, or doing any of the tasks, if you're losing on that task, so for say you're falling off like the air tube or whatever, that you're being pulled behind the boat, you're not like staying on it by pressing like A and B at the same time or something, or you losing out of the scale or something, it will turn red, the border will start flashing red. And then if you're winning that task, then it will start flashing kind of like an aqua green, so you know you're like or aqua blue, and you know you're kind of in the safe zone. And then for the feedback on my rules, I've decided to kind of change. Someone had mentioned maybe adding like consequences onto it, so I feel like maybe if you were to fail one of your tasks, then you get kicked off the boat, and then you'd have to do an extra task. So that was kind of the consequence of you're trying to stay on the boat and get through it, but if you don't, then you get kicked off the boat and you have to do more. So yeah, I'll write out the changes in my rules and also kind of give you guys an idea of the winning and losing thing. So see you guys next week.